Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and yes, so we have another candle haul. We have the BOGO sale from Bath & Body Works, plus I had a 20% off coupon, so I was able to score some of the Juicy Lit Halloween candles for a decent price. So I did that along with a few other candles. And then the second half of the video, we will be doing a post-burn candle review rundown of the candles I hauled in the last haul video. That just seems to work well and convenient for my schedule and everything these days. So I'll batch all those in the second half of this video if you're interested in that. There was one candle that I actually really enjoyed that I bought a backup of, and I rarely do that anymore, so stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, I want to talk about Goose Creek. So I'm still getting a few questions as to whether or not I still work with Goose Creek, and I do indeed still work with Goose Creek. I do get paid for my design work there. I'm not, however, paid to make this video in this segment talking about Goose Creek. Let's just get that disclosure out of the way. But in any case, yes. So I do still work with Goose Creek doing the labels, but just keep in mind, I don't do all the labels. So while I did design the Fall Farmhouse Kitchen collection that you see here, as well as some of the other collections, like there's this Cozy Nature one that has like Starlit Cuddle and Autumn Romance that turned out really nice. While I do some of the collections, I don't do all of them because there are a staff of designers on board. So there's multiple designers. So for instance, like this year, I didn't do the Halloween or some of the photo label ones. So yeah. But I did really enjoy the Farmhouse Breakfast one in this collection. It's like the fun, juicy, like bacon plus like a maple pancakes fragrance, and it's super strong too. I did an individual candle review on it. Check it out, and of course I'm gonna be biased towards my own designs, but I just love the way the gold foil on the leaves like sort of stamped on there turned out, and the cute like textile print with the stitching and everything. I just really enjoy that. But yeah, there's also like a sugared apple granola in that collection, as well as like a banana bread that were really juicy and awesome. I really love both of those last year. Peach pecan waffles is really good in there, and there's also new whipped chai and espresso in that collection as well. But I also wanted to just touch base on Beetlejuice because I did have the opportunity to smell those candles. I'm just so proud of how those fragrances turned out. They're really awesome and juicy. Like for what I enjoy about it is for like Halloween, because I've reviewed for so long and I've kind of smelled everything under the sun. Those are actually like quite creepy and atmospheric, and I love that because they really capture that like sort of spooky Halloween spirit. Whereas like if you want more of the basic gourmand fragrances like your candy corn and your, apples and the sweetsy cutesy ones, that's still available too in the regular Halloween collection and from other brands as well. But if you want the spooky, creepy ones, the Beetlejuice ones are really fun. Like the aesthetic by no means is at all my taste. I don't do the labels for the Beetlejuice or the collab candles, but the fragrances are pretty awesome. So just want to talk about it because I was quite jazzed about it. There's a handbook for the recently deceased that is the vintage leather binding, aged paper, and dusty cedar wood. And that legit smells like old, like antique library books, like the old books inside, or the old pages inside of a book. It's like musty and dusty. I love it. I don't have any of the candles in my possession, but I can't wait to like get a hold of them and to be able to actually burn and use to see how they perform. Because that one's just so like creepy and atmospheric in like an old like library book type of way. I love that one. There's also a really awesome like smoky one of the collection. It's called the Afterlife. That one's the Bonfire Smoke, Bone Chilling Birch, and Palo Santo. Very nice, like robust, sort of smooth, smoky fragrance. It's also very atmospheric and spooky. I really enjoyed that one as well. There is indeed still a fun gourmand in this collection. It's the Strange and Unusual one, which is like the banana fragrance. Sweet roasted bananas, wafer cookies, and whipped vanilla cream. That's like this awesome, like kind of like a creamy banana dessert fragrance with a little bit of like almost like a toasting to the banana that I really enjoy. That's different from the previous like banana pudding fragrance. I believe all of these fragrances in the collection are indeed brand new fragrances like for this collection. So I was just like jazzed with the fragrances and the variety and the spookiness in this collection. So I just wanted to touch base on that. So yes, long story short, I do still work with Goose Creek. So keep an eye on some of the designs that come out from me. And yeah, so let's see. Let's now transition back into Bath & Body Works. So BOGO plus 20% off, I think made these candles like somewhere in like the $14 range or something, which is like what I would reasonably want to pay for well, actually no, I want to pay more like $10 for a Bath & Body Works candle, but for a Juicy Lid one, 14 doesn't seem too bad. So we have Wicked Vanilla Woods right here. There's an awesome like ombre metallic finish on the jar, plus this like snake lid on it. It's like, do I decorate with candles? Absolutely not. Do I even care or have any value for a lid that juicy? No, but like, it's like, well, if I can get and this is how they play tricks on you too, because it's like $39.95 originally, so well, ooh, if I spend only $14 on it, that doesn't seem like a bad deal, right? And then so you still kind of want to buy it, even if $14 is like higher than like the 11 something that you want to pay, you know what I mean. But I still got it anyways, just because, you know, it's still a collector's item, and that's what we do. Magical Vanilla, Glowing Amberwood, and Enchanted Pink Pepper, just white wax on the inside. Yeah, this honestly isn't too far off from Vanilla Romance, to be completely honest. It's very much in that sort of woodsy vanilla fragrance. Yeah, they're actually kind of similar. This one's maybe a little bit more darker or rustic in some way, but yeah, maybe a little bit more mature perhaps. But yeah, everyone knows what vanilla wood smells like. It's kind of like that Bonfire Bash type of like vanilla perfume type of fragrance with a little bit of woodsiness in there. It's not super strong on cold, but we'll see how it burns and turns out. I've had like the soap of this before, and it was all right. It's just like kind of fun to finally have it in a 3-wick candle. So I was like, you know what, let me just get it and call it a day. So we did that right there. And then I also, for my mother, I picked up a Candy Apple Cauldron right here. And this one's also the higher $36.95 price point. Mysterious Green Apple, Simmering Sugar, and Crystallized Bergamot. I love the way the packaging turned out this year. There's a lot of like packaging label discussion lately. You know, everyone has an opinion or a, you know, viewpoint on labels. You know, as being a designer for a candle brand, it's kind of like you have to like take into account that like you're not going to please everybody all the time, 100% of the time. And people have different tastes, like tastes in art and preferences are very subjective, right? So like there's gonna be obviously many varying you know, opinions on labels. And so like while I might think the Candy Apple Cauldron looks really good, you know, somebody else might not. But I think they still did a really great job on the artwork and the direction on this. It's just like fun, and it fits the Bath & Body Works brand and motif, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, the pricing is kind of outrageous, but I think the stuff still looks super snatched. So yeah, but this one has like this lid on it, which we've all seen at this point. At first I thought that maybe this was a cauldron and the witch was like looking back into the liquid with a reflection on it, but I don't understand why the cauldron would have a crack in it, because like a liquid cauldron wouldn't have a crack in it, right? So like, is this really actually just a mirror of her looking in it? I don't know, but whatever. It's like you're legit paying the extra for that like plastic hunk behind the lid right there. But I actually did buy this one when there was the other sale for myself, so I have already burned this one myself. It is different from Heirloom Apple, the original one, which was like this apple pear marshmallow fragrance. They're very similar, but when you compare the two side by side, that one's a little bit more naturally sweet, whereas this one has a tinge of this kind of like body care inedible aspect to it, but still a nice comparable fragrance to that super sweet, like almost ooey gooey candied apple fragrance. And I have burned mine like 2 or 3 times, and that's super pleasant. It's just a really awesome, sweet, candied, like almost green apple creamy fragrance to it that I really enjoy. And it's not too body care-ish when you go to burn it, that it seems like perfume or anything like that. It's just this really awesome, just great, well executed sweet apple fragrance, and I enjoy that. It doesn't have like the whole moldiness that the other Heirloom apples and the, you know, the farm stand apples and the Honeycrisp apple have. It doesn't have that. It's just very sweet and like pure. So I really enjoy that. So that was the Candy Apple Cauldron right there. Unfortunately, the shower gel is not super strong, like has no dry down on it, but that's kind of expected with more of those like top note fragrances, like the bakery ones and the fruity ones. Usually if they don't put a lot of like the more heavier woodsy bottom notes on it, then you're not going to get too much dry down on it. And that's kind of what happened with the Candy Apple Cauldron shower gel. But it's a really nice fragrance, and I'm just glad to get it at a regular price, and also happy to get my mom one. So we have the Candy Apple Cauldrons right there. Moving on, let's see. I had to do BOGOs in sets of 2, so what I really wanted was another pumpkin s'mores. Oh my god, the first one was friggin' excellent. I loved it. So I was talking about how I really didn't care for this one on cold because it was just kind of weird and it smells like potato chips. And this one's the roasted marshmallow, melted chocolate, and pumpkin graham cracker. But boy, when you go to burn this one, it is so friggin' delicious. Wow, it like really transforms. There is still a hint of this weird like potato chip action to it, but it kind of translates in the overall scheme of things into like a crumbly graham cracker note. And a lot of times graham cracker notes do kind of smell funky in like a feet type of way, so it's understandable that it would smell kind of funky. But yeah, you get that mixed with this like really awesome like marshmallow creaminess, but it's not the marshmallow that you find exactly in Marshmallow Fireside. It's just like a different marshmallow. And because the graham cracker has so much like brown sugar in it, it kind of reminds me of that gooey marshmallow candle that we had before, which was like a very heavy like brown sugar marshmallow fragrance. And then this also has a little bit of that sort of dry, powdery texture that you would get from like hot cocoa and creams, kind of like dry marshmallows with the dry cocoa packet. It has a little bit of this like chocolatey nuance to it in a very like powdery cocoa packet kind of way, that it kind of smells like maybe hot cocoa and cream got mixed with like graham crackers and a little bit more of a marshmallow presence. But overall it comes well, like it comes together very well, and it's just super scrumptious and awesome, and it's plenty strong in my bedroom, and I can smell it fine in the open concept area too. It actually gets really scrumptious and just this awesome like fall Bath & Body Works Bakery Gourmand fragrance that is actually more evoking of Halloween than like the Candy Apple Cauldron or the Spooky Moontini and all the frilly, fruity stuff that they have. This one seems more like, oh my god, I'm burning a Halloween candle. So I actually really enjoy that. So that was Pumpkin S'mores right there. While it is similar to other similar graham cracker fragrances like Toasted Graham Latte and the Bonfire S'mores thing we've had, as well as the Chocolate Grahams, it is not exactly any of those. I think it's its own new entity, but it does share obvious like kind of marshmallow graham cracker and s'mores. You know, it shares similarities to all the other ones that are kind of like that too. But I'm actually really enjoying this one, to the point that I just have been burning it so much that I'm like, oh my god, I'm kind of sad it's over with. So it gave me an excuse to buy one today. So that was Pumpkin S'mores right there. And then the other duo, I was just like, I've had literally everything from Bath & Body Works. Let me just try to get something new and different that I guess I normally wouldn't get. So I did get the Sugared Lemon and Spice right here, which is the neutrals. This one and the Cranberry Gala Apple were the two new ones. The Cranberry Gala Apple just seemed like a watered down perfect autumn, so I didn't need that. This one's the Lemon Zest, Fresh Cardamom, and Sugared Ginger. And yeah, I don't know, it's just like this, it's like a bright, almost like cleaner lemon mixed with a little bit of a creaminess with that like ginger like spice or zest to it. Everyone says this one comes off much better when you go to burn it, so I'm hoping that's the case with this, because on cold, I've already smelled and talked about this before in another haul, but on cold it didn't really impress me. But as you guys know, with Pumpkin S'mores and even like Danbury Shortbread, like when you go to burn it, it can transform a little bit nicer. So I'm hoping and willing to give this one a shot to see how that does. So that was the Sugared Lemon and Spice right there. Let's see, one more item. While I was in the store one of those days, I realized Bookloft, the new packaging was out. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this aesthetic, but it is what it is. I understand that people all have different tastes, so just because I don't like it doesn't mean that there's not a market for it out there somewhere else with somebody else with different preferences. But here's Bookloft right here. I do have to say, when it was burning, the glow on it's kind of fun and cool, so at least there was that. Pair your favorite book with notes of crisp bergamot woods and a warm blanket, and then if you recall, the original, or like the secondary notes on the original one also listed neroli in here. But so what happened was, I had the original one, as you guys remember, but I didn't really like it because it was pretty much unscented. But then as I was hate burning it, the second half really picked up and it was strong and juicy and awesome. And I actually really enjoyed it for how it was like the sophisticated, sort of like cozy, woodsy, but still floral, powdery fragrance that was just like really textured and awesome. And I really enjoyed it in my bedroom. And then so I went on a hunt for it during SAS, and I finally found a store that had a ton of them in there. And so I bought two of those. So I bought two of the other batch from the other store, and I started burning through the first one, and even at the mid-range point, it was still super unscented, and I just couldn't smell it. And I was like, you know, I guess the thoughts from my original one kind of stand at least for that candle, where that one never got stronger. It was just always unscented. So I still had the second unburned one, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this one and return it and exchange it for the new one in store and see if this one's any stronger. I've only burned this one once, so I can't speak to it with pure confidence, but it was only marginally stronger than the original one. I would say maybe like if the first one was like a 1 out of 10, this one was maybe like a 3 out of 10, but I only burned it once. But it's the same fragrance nonetheless, but it might be marginally stronger, but I can't even really say. But it wasn't completely unscented, so maybe it's a little bit better. I don't know, undecided to be honest. So that was Bookloft right there. Moving on, we have Vanilla Romance right here, which is like the single fragrance launch alongside Vanilla Noir, Fresh Cardamom, Vanilla Absolute, and Captivating Woods. I've burned this one like 3 times. Sad to report that, well, I actually really enjoy the fragrance and it's kind of growing on me. It's like super unscented. Talking to a friend, I wouldn't recommend the friend to buy it, let's put it that way. Yeah, it kind of smells like Bonfire Bash, I'm not gonna lie. And it's like this slightly smoky, like perfumey vanilla fragrance that's nice and pleasant. Like I would pick up the shower gel if I had a reward. And it's like nice when you like first go into the room, but like literally like 30 seconds after you sat in the room, you go like nose blind to it. It's like super weak and unscented. I would like give it maybe like a 1. And sometimes it gets like this weird plasticiness to it. But in any case, yeah, it's just very weak, so I can't recommend it. Vanilla Romance right there. Moving on, we have Cherry Almond Shortbread right there, and that's what that looks like. This one reads Vanilla Shortbread, Candied Almond, and Cherry. I've burned this one a few times too, and that's what that looks like. It kind of gets like murky and changes color. But this one kind of smells like pistachio and toasted vanilla, but you layered like this artificial sour cherry note on top of it that makes it kind of inedible. It's like almost like a cherry almond lotion that's kind of inedible mixed with those sort of like pistachio and toasted vanilla's nutty bakery action. Yeah, like this fragrance, it does smell like the hand soap version, which I think the hand soap was out as early as I remember 2014, and that Made with Love collection. Do you guys remember that with like the crimp lids on it and the darling packaging with like pumpkin gingerbread and that mint mocha bark thing? And Cherry Almond Shortbread was a hand soap in there, so that was like 10 years ago at this point, and now we're getting a candle, which is kind of interesting and awesome to see that finally come alive. But in the hand soap, because it's more like a body product that you use on your hands, like it's fine for it to be a little bit more inedible or a little bit more lotiony. But when I'm burning a Cherry Almond Shortbread candle, for whatever reason, a home fragrance, I'm expecting more of like a full-blown bakery fragrance. That this one, the inedibleness from the cherry kind of make it a little bit weird and off, to be honest. That I didn't really love this one. I think pistachio and toasted vanilla is superior. And this is like that, but with a sour artificial cherry almond lotion component added to it. And the throw was very much like light to medium and like just the 5 range. I could smell it, but it wasn't as strong as pistachio and toasted vanilla was. That was for sure. So total 1 and done for me. Cherry Almond Shortbread right there. I think Danbury Shortbread is still the far superior shortbread fragrance for sure. And then lastly, I think I burned through Spooky. I didn't burn through, but burned a few times. Spooky Moontini right here, and that's what that looks like. This one has a thick rope-like wicks, and they were super massive, I think, to combat the dark wax that could potentially clog the wicks. And so it kept sitting on me like crazy, even when I like trim it to what I thought was normal. So it was kind of hard to get through this one. This one's Mystical Berry Potion, Spooktacular Spun Sugar, and Spellbinding Citrus. Just take it or leave it, fruity candy fragrance. You get like this berry with citrus fragrance. It's such like a spring fruity fragrance that it's just kind of weird to have it for the Halloween time. And yes, I understand there is candy for Halloween, but like I was saying earlier, I kind of would want this more spooky or creepy fragrances for Halloween. Whereas this is just like this fruity fragrance that could come out like, you know, spring, summer, that doesn't really give you any Halloween feels whatsoever. It was just medium. I don't know, take it or leave it. I can't, it's just so boring. I can't even like speak on it. So that was Spooky Moontini right there. Like it's not terrible or cheap or offensive by any means. It's just boring. That's all that one was. So yeah. And I think that's it for this video. Yes, thank you so much if you stay tuned until the end. And yeah. Candy Apple Cauldron and the Pumpkin S'mores were the 2 hits for me that I really enjoyed, and I'll dig into the Wicked Vanilla Woods one and see how that does. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.